I've got a big book with me over there, which is called Messages from the Body, which is...
Most physical illnesses are caused by mental patterns.
This is called Messages from the Body. $129, so it's not cheap, but I have used this in my work, and this is saying that pretty much every illness, there's something going on inside of us. So if we're saying that we are running 99%, a lot, and the unconscious mind is doing all these things for us, why is it making mistakes? Why is it... it's beating my heart, it's growing my hair. Like, for example, with me, why was I massively deficient in energy? Why had I got...
Is it faulty thinking?
No, it's not faulty thinking. It's... they are all states of vibration, they're all states of being or non-being. They're all connected with beliefs. So it's at they're at an unconscious level, they are beliefs. Now, I accept that people... that I don't necessarily it's going to be that controversial in this room, but generally I studied people who had recovered from illness, and the people who had got better, of which they had done that and written books, or they'd done that and done a few talks, they had bought into the mind-body connection, being that extremely powerful, this unconscious mind. So how can it, in the power of it, how can it make mistakes? How can it just go, oh, right, yeah, forgot to do that, did all the other stuff, and then, oh, I've allowed that to happen. So, for example, with me, when I was in hospital in 2004, I'd had ME and fibromyalgia for absolutely years, 16 years or something like that, 14 years at that point. And I wanted to make it to the Olympics, and I ended up watching in hospital Kelly Holmes winning 2 golds, Kelly Holmes, and I remember thinking, well, I wanted to do that I was almost good enough to do that. Not to say I would have made the final or would have got a medal, but when I had a national ranking of 6th before I was 16 for the 800 metres. So I was good and I wasn't getting the training, and then I literally thought I'd be able to go to an Olympics. I was very close to getting an England vest, so I was an excellent runner and county champion multiple times. And then suddenly my health had got worse and worse, and well, body's just made a mistake. You just got ME, and I went to the doctor, and they weren't giving me any answers other than, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what to do about it. We can give you these. What are they? Well, you know, there's studies that people have taken them and people can get a bit better. Well, what are they? I didn't actually question that to begin with. I just took them, and they didn't really make a difference, but there was a placebo effect going on, and I felt better for taking them because something could help me. But they were antidepressants, and it actually took me 18 months before I actually read the packet and went, these are an antidepressant, I'm not depressed, I don't need to take these. I got a bad taste in my mouth, and I got a dry mouth, and there were some side effects, and I wasn't personally happy to just have that. So I started to research people who were getting better, who had done things that had made their life better by a few %. Because to begin with, when I was studying ME recovery, I'd never known anybody who recovered. It was that simple. So, you know, it was more about management of long-term health conditions, and it was about improving your life a little bit. And I found a book in 2006. My older brother was studying NLP, and it wasn't on the reading list, but he found it on the shelf to do with NLP. It was a guy called Alex Howard, and he had written a book about recovering from ME, and I was like, what? And he's my age, he's got sideburns like me. And I'd never met a younger guy who had recovered, so it still took me a year to get in contact with him because he wasn't cheap. And I remember thinking, I'll do lots. I've nearly done almost everything that he's done, but there's a few things that I need to do that I haven't done. And one of the things was going to meet him and having some coaching with him and some sessions. And then the next was making the decision to go and study in all that I'm qualified in now, which he was doing training courses in. And it was a bit of a no-brainer. It was just like, right, okay, wasn't cheap, but I put money away, and I made the decision that that would be an investment in myself. And I'd studied counselling before, but it's not just, and I had 4 years of counselling as well. And it's not to say that that wasn't helpful to me, but ultimately my how can I frame this in the best possible way? I ended up being in hospital, almost paralysed down the left-hand side of my body in 2004 after 4 years of counselling. Came out, rang and contacted my counsellor and said, I'm ready to start again. And she said, well, we've kind of covered everything with you. I don't know what else I can help you with. And she said, you're just suffering from fear. Oh, okay. And she was very honest, but effectively I felt kind of dumped. And she couldn't actually help me anymore. She didn't know what to do because counselling was working at a conscious level, and I needed something deeper than that. And I didn't know that I needed something deeper, but I ended up finding EFT and a few other things, and of which I've immersed myself in the last 6 years. So I've treated probably getting on for a couple of hundred people. And all different types of things, and using these skills and these techniques, and while still going on the spiritual journey myself, which is about getting into the now and into a state of being and present, and gaining that presence as much as you can, and then manifesting good things which come from your heart that are going to make the world a better place. So it was really a step-by-step process. People who seek me and these kind of things are people who want to better their lives. They're usually struggling. They're not in the place they would like to be, and they would like to manifest better from the universe. Be that health, wealth, relationships, you name it. It's all coming from the unconscious, and it is that powerful. And I do some coaching, and I do it online via the use of Skype, which is you can call people for free. It's amazing. I think years ago you used to have the telephone call America or Australia. So you can speak on Skype for free. And I have clients around the world.
Can I ask you, with all the different sort of country culture, different cultures, the perception of what's, say, normal or not, does it change? You know, does upbringing and thoughts? Because people are very different, aren't they?
Massively.
Yeah.
Cultures, various cultures.
You know, I just wondered if the perception of the treatment would be different for different...
I know that EFT, because EFT is a really, really simple tool. People can learn it, they can tap on themselves, you can learn it very, very cheaply. You don't even have to get qualified in it. You could just be learning where the points are. Okay, one is at the top of the head, one is at the side of the eyebrow point, one is at the side of the eye, under the eye, top lip, chin point, collarbone, under the arm. If all that you did were those points, it doesn't really matter. It helps to work with somebody else, because generally we will sabotage. The unconscious mind wants to keep its problem or keep its state of vibration, but it's a very, very simple tool to use. And EFT has been used in Africa, in war-torn countries where children and families have suffered, devastating losses and seen atrocities. I know that I think there's a coaching friend called Helena Summer Medina who's in Hawaii, and I can't remember where she's from. Is she from Croatia? Somewhere like... Pardon?
I'd love to go to Hawaii.
Okay. Not offering. So would I. We're going to go. I would actually. It is nice. But she's gone from a war-torn country, and she was a nun, and she got into EFT and NLP as well, and became a coach. And she worked on all of her trauma, and there were wars and things happening. The areas where which were best spent were in personal coaching for myself, which I invested in and had from other people, and from getting qualified. So I studied in London for 18 months. I went for 1 weekend a month for nearly 18 months between May 2006 and December 2007. And I totally immersed myself in this and read all the books that I could do. I bought 10 here today. I've read hundreds. So, and lots of CDs on spirituality, on the unconscious mind, on NLP. But your question was about culture, and yes, everybody's culture is different, but you're still always working on the lack of stillness. You're always working on the wanting to get to be. Why is someone not in a state of being? And it could be that someone's suffered terrible atrocities, like in a war-torn country, and they're suffering from post-traumatic stress. And so you could use EFT on that. But there are cultural ways of being, or non-being, and you're still working on the lack of stillness. So it works however you would like it to work. I know that this is much more accepted in the West, but actually EFT is a blend of East and West, because we're tapping on meridians, we're tapping on acupuncture points. And acupuncture is thousands of years old, and they've treated people for illness and pain and lots of things. So we know that acupuncture works. It's even, anybody had it on the NHS here? I know that they have it on the NHS now. But a doctor would say, we'll cut people open, we can't find these meridians. How does it work? We don't necessarily know it works. We don't necessarily know how it works. We know it works. So I've got embedded into my website some war veterans who are extremely traumatized. And I've done that deliberately because majority of people who come don't have that level of trauma going on. These people are literally like this, and they've come back and they've experienced terrible things. And they've had 5 days of intensive EFT, and the issues that they were suffering with are radically less. Radically. So we know that this stuff works. And really, it's a pity that it's not out there more, and it's a pity that it's not available, or it's not in more public consciousness. Hence, this, but by filming me, this might lend to a little bit more of an understanding of how it can work and how it's as powerful as hypnosis. Most people would everybody agree that hypnosis is powerful, that people don't necessarily understand it, and because I used to see like stage hypnotists and think, God, that's cool. That would be fabulous. Or maybe you could hypnotise yourself to change, or maybe you could hypnotise yourself so you're more confident. Or I was much more interested in the therapeutic side of it, because I tried to consciously heal myself through talking about it. So that was much more interesting to me. And I think I've always had a natural tendency to want to help people, or want to heal. I was doing a lot of this before. I even made my father, who died in 2001 when he got cancer, I made him a hypnosis CD. I don't have a hypnosis qualification, but I knew that I could make it. I could go from talking to this down to a much more relaxed voice that could allow him to relax deeply. And then put something about, I knew that it was the fact that something to do with white blood cells and red blood cells, so I read it and I made him a personalised hypnosis CD, and I wasn't even qualified in hypnosis. Unfortunately, he listened to it it was 40 minutes long, and I put about 4 days into it, and he listened to it for 30 minutes and came into the room and went, I can't listen to that. And he passed away that year. But that was his journey. I've met people who have recovered from cancer,